Angelina Sims. Angelina believes in the importance of giving back and helping others. In addition to her studies in information systems cybersecurity, she advocates for those who have loved ones with disabilities. She also has a deep interest in how technology intersects with education and healthcare to help empower people. So now we have Angelina Sims. Flip the table, flip the script.
I am not fully wise. I'm still on my way. What matters most is that I'm moving forward. It was a sunny spring day. I was sitting at a long brown conference table facing windows with a panoramic view. The door was to my back. Across from me sat a team of highly credentialed professionals who were considered to be experts in their fields. They were, of course, facing the door, which was directly behind me. For those of you familiar with positioning yourselves at meetings, I'm sure you know what that means. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, have you ever found yourself in an unfamiliar situation where you know that things just aren't right, but you have to remain calm, collected, composed, and power through? Well, looking back at that bright and sunny spring day in that meeting, I totally thought that's what I was doing. Hey, I was remaining cool as a cucumber. Well, based on the reaction from my husband slowly sliding down in the chair sitting next to me, I guess that was not the case. You see, we were in our first ever IEP meeting that day. For those of you unfamiliar with IEPs, which are individualized education plans, my husband and I were wading through uncharted waters with the special education system on behalf of our son, who happens to have multiple disabilities. Armed with his business negotiation savvy and my personal experiences from overhearing things behind the scenes in middle school teachers lounge where my mother worked in the school library and a few articles glossed over the internet, we thought we were confident in our abilities to walk into the local elementary school that day and have a civil conversation about our son's entry into the education system. Well, things didn't turn out that way. Remember when I mentioned that my husband slid down in the chair? Remember when I said that I was cool as a cucumber? If you were to ask him for a sportscaster play-by-play commentary, that was not the case. See, my husband, he's an expert in business negotiations. Some will even say that he has to be a bit cutthroat when it comes to closing a deal. Here's another thing that you should know. It wasn't until that day that he ever thought someone like me, a nice, quiet girl from the New Jersey suburbs, would ever show my fangs. So what was happening? While I was new to the world of special education, I knew that what was being discussed regarding my son was not going to meet his needs. I was scared. I was terrified. I was in complete darkness because I just didn't know what was going to happen next. You'll have to touch base with my husband, the super savvy, no nonsense business guy, about what words actually flew out of my mouth to make him feel that he needed to slide down in the chair. But I really just don't know what I said exactly. So what I do know is that I dug deep down and I stood up for what was right, even if I didn't know what the proper nuances were for a situation like this. Even if you never had to encounter a special education team, or even if you don't have kids, I'm sure that there was a time where you were faced with something where you didn't know how to navigate the situation properly, or you just did the best you could and did the right thing. If you're curious about as to what happened on that bright sunny spring day in that conference room where my husband again slid down in the chair because he was the first to encounter me with that fierce mama bear mentality, we'll just say that our case made it all the way to a courtroom in Trenton, the state capital of New Jersey, just a few months later, because even though I did not have the wisdom as a seasoned parent in the education system, I did what I had to do to move forward. Let's fast forward to present day. What I'm tackling now is navigating technology to make things more accessible for people like my son as he gets older and he prepares to take steps towards independence as a young adult. While I'm not making people cringe these days and taking people to court through due process, I'm still learning because this is something that's fairly new to me. In life, no matter the cause that is near and dear to our hearts, never lose sight of what matters. You may not have all the answers, but just do what's right. I'm not saying that you have to take anyone to court or flip the table or two like a celebrity TV housewife, but to get your point across, but just remember to keep moving. And like the activist young Pueblo says, I'm not fully wise, I'm still on my way. What matters most is that I'm moving forward. Thank you.
Let's welcome to the stage Don.
Thank you, Ryan. It is my pleasure to evaluate Angelina Sim's speech about flip the table and flip the screen. I really like this speech, Angelina. I mean, you gave us a panoramic view of your situation, the way you start the speech with the very good punch and you end up with the nice knockout punch. So I like the clarity of your speech from the beginning to the end. It flow nicely. And also I really like the way you explain how your husband was sleeping from the chair and you are like becoming like mama bear when it's the story comes. So it was really like really good way to show us. And also I really like your hand gestures. So you use your hand gestures and everything. And also I know this is your first speech, so I can see that little bit nervousness in you. And also that last week was my speech too, and I was nervous, very nervous on this speech too. So I can understand that. And the only suggestion I have was like, I see when your eyes was going right to left so a couple of times. So, and since we are all in the video conference, so I like you to keep your eye on the front and use the hand suggestion on the front. And also I know it is really very hard to use the word of the day into your speech, and you incorporated that nicely in the beginning of the speech. So um, I'm I mean, I cannot even do that. So I really like that. Overall, your speech is really good. And the only suggestion is I like to see something unorthodox on the next speech, like uh, something come up with like either cartoon or something like that to show your interpersonal and your creativeness on your next speech. And this speech was really value to us and even to our day-to-day situation. So I really like your speech. Very good job. And you're top of my list on the speeches. Thank you.